Good afternoon, and welcome to K2's Road to Excellence with Excel, Part 13, and our partner PaymentEvolution. This is Alan Salmon, and I'm pleased that so many of you are with me on this dull August day here in Brampton, Ontario. A little bit of housekeeping before we get started. As usual, my good friend Marilyn Benninger is backing me up today, and she is your go-to person for technical issues, and she manages the questions. 10 days from today, we will send you the recording of this webinar, my teaching notes, my teaching files, and the answers to all of the questions that you ask. And in addition, you'll get your CPD certificate. More on that in a bit. Submit your questions at any time through the chat window, and Marilyn manages that, and after the webinar is over, she sends us the questions, we prepare the answers, and all of you will get the questions and the answers when we send you the recording. When you exit from the webinar, there is a 6-question survey that will take you less than 15 seconds to complete, and I hope you will do it because we take pride in looking at those and making changes. So today, life is going to be a little bit different when it comes to Excel because I'm going to move the technology up a notch. And don't get scared with that. We're going to look at ways to do complex calculations, and we're going to look at ways to jazz up your data entry. So on that note, Marilyn, can we please have the first poll?
Yes, of course, Alan. So everyone, you should be seeing now your screen has changed to blue, and there is a question and 5 answers. You don't have to get the answer right. We just need you have some answer there, and that will time and date stamp that you have attended the webinar. We're going to ask 4 questions today. You need to answer 3 in order to earn 1 verified PD credit. So we like to keep the poll open until we have at least 80% participation. And we're just about there now, so I'm going to count you down from 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1, and I'm going to be closing the poll now and sharing the results, Alan.
I'm surprised by the number of you that are using some product, primarily because it's one of those little discovered gems, and I'm going to start off with that. Array formulas, that doesn't surprise me. So let's get into it. So as I said, I'm going to start with some product. And if you look on your screen, what you have here is 2 budget sets. I have 7 consultants, and they all have variable rates depending on what they're doing. So for example, Eli Manning, 150 when he's doing quality, not quality, but important work, 135, and then 90 if he's just doing some simple tasks. And corresponding to that down below is the number of billable hours that they're expected to bill in a year. And up here in C5, guess what we want? What's the estimated gross revenue? And the way I used to do that was I took that times that plus that times that, and it probably took me about 2 minutes to do it. And I'm going to do it in 15 seconds using equal sum product. And next, I'm going to define, and I'm going to use the term array or data set. I'm going to insert a comma, and I'm going to define the second data set. And you would expect that I need to enter a closing bracket. Well, it turns out that I don't, and there's the calculation. Great time saver? So let's review it again. Obviously, these 2 matrices need to be similar, which they are. And by the way, I just put rate 1 in here to see if anybody caught it. Nobody, I don't think, bills $6,000 an hour, but that's my Allen humor for today. So let's go back at it again. Equal sum product is the formula. Then the first grid or array, then a comma, and then the second. And voila, there we go. So let's now move into a world that scares some people. And that is the concept of an array. And I need to delete these. Whoops, no, sorry. I need to move here. So I'm going to do this 3 ways, and that is I need the hourly total billings, that times that. I need the sum. So let's do that. Let's do equal that times that. Now, let's copy it down the fast way, which is to go to the bottom right-hand corner of that cell with the black square and click. And of course, you all know the trick now to do the sum fast. Double click. There we go. Now let's do it as an array formula. As a sum product. Equal sum product. Bracket. And what's the array this time? It's that one, comma, that one. And you notice we get the same answer. Now let's explore the world of array formulas. And what I'm going to do here is do this. So equal sum D9. Now if I hit enter, I'm going to get an error message. So let's do it again. Equal sum, bracket, that. This time I do need the closing bracket. And now I'm going to do something really weird for those of you who have not done an array formula. I'm going to hold down the control key, the shift key, and hit enter. Magic. Now let's go back up here and focus your eyes right there. And you see equal sum bracket D2 colon D5, closing bracket. And then you see the opening brace and the closing brace. And that's a red flag that says this is an array formula. And what it says is add these up. Now, when I first starting out, as usual, I do some dumb things. So instead of doing control shift enter, I did brace equals sum D2 to D5 bracket brace. It doesn't work. So you lay out the formula and then you do control shift enter. And this is laid out pretty clearly in the notes that you're going to get. But to reinforce this, I'm going to do another array formula. And it's this one right here. And the first thing is that I've done the calculations, the sum of C, D, and E, and I get different answers. So notice in column C, the total is 425.38, but if you do the math, it should be 425.39 like it is in D and E. And the reason for that is that these numbers are being formatted to 2 decimal places, not rounded. So if I expand these, like that, you notice what we get. But when we format, it cuts off everything after that second 7. And of course, that's the cause of many of our rounding errors. So let me put it back. Oops, how about we go this way and move over to the way many of you, including me, used to round. So equal round A5 divided by B2, comma 2. So that is properly rounded to 2 decimal places, and it gets the proper total. Now in here, I've done it using an array formula. So we go equal sum, whoops, would help, bracket, remember we have to close the bracket, and now let's do Control Shift Enter, and there we go. Now contrast the time it takes to do that formula and copy it down to what I just did here. And the box down here really sums it up. Note that array formulas method allows you to enter one formula that rounds all the floating point calculations in the data matrix. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I have just touched the surface on array formulas. To really make you semi-expert in it, I would need to spend the morning with you. And you're going to get another 30 minutes on array formulas in one of the many webinars that I'm doing in September. So let's move away from calculations now, and let's look at jazzing up your data entry. Okay, so when something is ordered, I need to put a mark in here. I could do an X and so on and down. And when I do, and we'll come back to that, nothing happens. Now here's the finished product. Ignore this and this. Notice I have some really cool checkboxes there. And watch the total when I click on a checkbox. Will that speed up data entry? I would argue yes. So now it's time to see how it's done. But before we do that, some of you will need to go up here on the ribbon and right mouse click and go to customize the ribbon. Because when we go down here, the checkbox beside developer will probably not be checked. You're going to need that for the work that we're going to do. Okay. So we've got the developer tab, and I want you to focus in the section called controls, which is where I'm going to work. And a checkbox, the technical name for a checkbox, is a control. So right in my face, you'll see the insert. And then you'll see 2 sets of controls, and they're almost the same. One called form controls, and the other called ActiveX controls. I use ActiveX controls when I'm doing macros. Today we're going to do the simple form and just do a form control. So there's the checkbox. I'm going to click on it. And you'll notice, if your eyesight is good, that I got a little plus sign there. So I'm going to drag it, and there's my checkbox. And I'm going to move it up like that, and like that. And you'll notice the word checkbox is beside the checkbox. You can't see the whole thing, but we have no need for that in this situation, so I'm going to delete it. There we go. And you'll notice now that I have a clean checkbox. And if I check it, nothing happens. We got some more work to do. But before we do that, let's do this. Let's copy it. And let's move it. And let's do it again. Whoops. And again, nope. Come on. It doesn't like me. Finally. There we go. So there. So we've got 6 totally useless checkboxes. We got some more work to do, and I've got to do this 6 times. I'm going to right mouse click here and go up to properties. So the first thing we're going to do is tell Excel that we want something to happen when the box is checked. What I want to happen is that I want something to happen in there. And let's jazz it up and do 3D shading. Okay. Let's do the same thing here. And this time we do this one. And you got to be patient when you're doing these, but it's would help if I put the cell link in. But the time spent doing this, I would argue, is well worth it. Two more and we're done. All right, so notice what happens. Now, when I'm done, or when you're done, you're going to hide E. But now watch the interesting formula down here. And it's a sum bracket if statement, not sum if. And what the first one says, if E2 is true, then add it. Plus, if E3 is true, add it, and so on. And remember that you're going to get a copy of this file. And let's check it out. There we go. And again, I would argue that it's well worth the effort. Now, what we're doing here is a sum. Watch what I'm doing here. I'm doing a count. Why? Because the formula here, I'm using count if. So if E2 is true, add it up, E3, and so on. And then finally, let's jazz it up even more. So when I click on here, notice what happens. It's true, and I've got a green background or a flag. If it's false, I don't. Now this one works as well. So how did I do that? Well, in the interest of time, I pre-did it. And of course, this is an example of conditional formatting. So we're going to go to the Home tab. We're going to go to Conditional Formatting. We're going to go to Manage Rules. And we're going to go to this worksheet. And notice that if I edit this rule, I chose to use a formula to determine which cells to format. And when I select that for my format rule, it says format values where this formula is true, E2. And then I'd go on what I did and use the same approach here. I'd go to conditional format when E3 is true, and so on. So there is checkboxes. And I use them a fair bit, particularly if I'm doing an Excel workbook for a client. Let's take it up a notch now, and let's go to combo boxes. And let's look at the finished product. So I've got some colors here. Click there, and then I would choose that somewhere else in the spreadsheet. And this is remarkably easy to do. Once again, I'm going to go to the Developer tab. I'm going to go to Insert, and the second icon here is, guess what? A combo box. Just like I did with checkboxes. There we go. Now the problem is that doesn't know what to do. Well, we're going to go up here to Properties, and whoops, sorry. I'm going to go up here to Properties. And what's the input range? Well, that's pretty easy. It's this. And we don't need a cell link, but the drop down is going to give me 8 lines. Well, that's kind of stupid. I only have 6. And yes, we'll go for 3D shading. And there you go. So once again, I use combo boxes a fair bit on client files. And then the final thing that I want to do with you is a list box. So on the Data tab, I have 55 or 54 employee names. And here, I want to be able to select an employee name. Now, I don't go to the Developer tab to do this. I go to the Data tab, and I go over here to Data Validation. All right, so what values do I want? I want a list. Where's the list? So that does it. I could create an input message, but it's not relevant in this one. So we'll click on OK. Now we got the drop down there, and there we go. And of course, I would use this again somewhere else in a normal spreadsheet. So folks, that wraps it up for me. I will be back at the end to wrap things up. So Marilyn, it's time for my next poll, or my last poll.
Thanks, Alan. There's been quite a lot of questions, so I think you've struck on a nerve here, folks. They're learning lots today about array formulas. So, gang, we have our second poll question, and it's about charting. I think we're seeing where we're going to be going on our next webinar. There are 5 questions there. Everybody's very enthusiastic. We're nearly at 80%. Oh, thanks, Teresa, for your feedback. It was very valuable. Alan's presentation. Thank you, Teresa. All right, folks, we're already at 90%, so I'm going to count you down from 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And I'll share those results now, Alan.
I love the 7% that's a charting guru. I assume that's the group that always answers that they know it all. And I don't mean that in a negative way. And I assume that I have done a little bit of helping those of you that are in the advanced to grow a bit. Folks, that's where we're going in 2 weeks when we do our second webinar with PaymentEvolution. And speaking of them, Marilyn, it's time now to do the handoff.
Andrea. Oh, look at that. We can see your beautiful screen. Andrea, that's wonderful.
Hi, thank you. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, you're coming in loud and clear.
Awesome. Well, thank you, everybody. Thank you, Alan. I just learned a lot about Excel because I am definitely not an Excel guru, and I would like to be one. So thank you for letting me sit in and learn that. We're really excited to be here today. Thank you, everyone, for continuing to join us. We are from PaymentEvolution. My name is Andrea Morgan. I am a payroll specialist. A little quick intro about me. I've been working for PaymentEvolution in payroll directly for about 4.5 years. I am a piece of paper away from having my PCP certification, and I'm also the head of support and training here. And today I wanted to talk to you about the current issues that are plaguing businesses with regards to payroll. So let's go through our agenda really quickly. First thing we're going to talk about are the common payroll errors, the things that we see most often here at PaymentEvolution and in payroll in general. We're going to talk about how you as the accountant or bookkeeper can be the solution for your clients, how PaymentEvolution can help, and then finally how you can get in touch with us because you're going to be so excited about all the stuff I tell you, you're going to want to call us right away. So without further ado, let's get right into our common payroll errors. So I have 4 common errors to talk to you about today. The first one is simply small businesses generally don't understand payroll. A small business owner is usually not that interested in payroll. They just want it done because they have to. They don't understand all of the requirements that are associated with being an employer and understanding payroll. So there are 5 basic requirements in payroll. The first requirement is to pay your employees on time and in accordance with the legislation. The second requirement is to provide a proper payslip. A proper payslip includes current payment information as well as year-to-date information. You are required to provide year-end tax forms for any employee that you paid more than $500 in the year. That includes T4s, T4As, and RL1s in Quebec. You're required to provide a record of employment for anybody that has been employed in insurable employment with you. And you're required to pay and file government remittances. Now, not doing any one of these can lead to a lot of issues and a lot of mess, and guess who's left cleaning up that mess? Well, it's you, the accountant, the bookkeeper, and you're doing it at tax time, which is already your busiest time of year for your most compliant client. And then you've got to clean up all these messes. So the goal is always to get your clients understanding what they don't know about payroll and how you can help them. Our next big common payroll error is the importance of understanding full reporting. So a lot of small business owners will use the CRA calculator. It's a great tool to get an idea about how much you want to pay your employees. But a lot of times, the CRA calculator and other one-time calculations don't take everything into account. They don't take into account year-to-date information. Things like, did the employee max out on CPP and EI? And if so, did you know about it? And if you didn't, then you are potentially paying more as the employer, and trying to get that money back from CRA is definitely a challenge. Overpayments can happen when you change salaries during the year. It can cause the company to overpay or underpay taxes. And guess what? You as the accountant or bookkeeper spend that time fixing the errors at the end of the year. A year-round option that takes into account all of these considerations already is your most viable solution for any small business owner, as long as they're paying someone. Manual calculations. I can't tell you how many times I see people using an Excel spreadsheet for payroll. And Alan, I think Excel spreadsheets are amazing, and I'm excited to come to the next webinar and learn even more about them, but they are terrible for payroll. They don't keep a solid paper trail. I've seen people miscalculate the CPP exemption, because one of the most basic things is the CPP exemption is not rounded. And this is one of the most common errors. So when Excel is going to automatically round something for you for a dollar figure, it's going to get it wrong. It also doesn't create pay slips. It doesn't create that year-to-date information. And the same thing with regards to the maxing out of CPP and EI. You're not necessarily getting on top of that. Legislative changes can take somebody who's using Excel by surprise. If you don't know about it and you're not reading constantly, you might miss it. I had an accountant call me and say my calculation was wrong, and that was because their Excel spreadsheet was using 2017's EI rate. If they didn't know, they're not going to do it right. Manual calculations can often lead to flawed calculations. Incorrect remittance calculations. So what happens when you are not remitting on time or correctly? So all of these errors that we've talked about can lead to fines, and nobody wants to be fined. Nobody wants to be on CRA's radar. So as a basic understanding of what the fines can be for your failure to remit, or your client's failure to remit, the minimum penalty is 10% for the first time and 20% for the second time of the remittance amount. Late remittances can result in a penalty of a minimum of 3% up to a maximum of 10%, depending on how late you are, applied to the part of the amount that you failed to remit that is more than $500. So if you've got a large client and they owe a large amount of money, if they're even 3 days late, all of a sudden those fines just keep adding up and up and up. And guess what? Guess who's left to deal with it? You are. So we don't want that. So before we move into our next section about how you can be the solution to all of these problems, Marilyn, if you wouldn't mind putting out our first poll question, that would be great, because we want to know how many. Go ahead.
Absolutely, Andrea. Thanks for that. Folks, it's a nice, easy question this time. We'd like to know who's on the call and how many of you are currently offering payroll as a service to your client, and how many are not. It's a simple yes, no. It's easy to get to 80%, which we already are there. So I'm going to count you down from 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Thanks, everyone. And the results are in. 37% of the folks on the call today do provide payroll, and the rest do not at this time. Thanks, everyone. Back to you, Andrea.
Thanks, Marilyn. That was awesome. Wow, that is a lot who are not providing payroll. And we're going to talk about how you can be the solution for your clients, because I guarantee if they are if they have employees, they have experienced at least one, if not more, of those issues above, and you've probably dealt with the consequences of them. So let's talk about how you can be the solution. Your goal is always to maximize your client's time and reduce their cost. You do this, and I'm going to show you how doing this will increase your revenue. So as a quick statistic, your client is spending 13 8-hour days a year running payroll for fewer than 10 employees. 13 days, that's a 2-week vacation. I don't want to spend 13 days running payroll. I want it to be fast and I want it to be easy. So how can you maximize their time and reduce their costs? Well, the first thing you can do is you can be the expert. You can be that person that knows the problems and knows the solutions. And when you do that, you can be there to fix the errors before they happen. So you're not even fixing them, you're simply not creating them, because errors cost time and money to fix. So reduced errors means reduced cost. To do this, to get your clients on board, you need to teach them their worth. This is really important. Small business owners value their time far less than employees. Employees are often paid and can give themselves an hourly rate. Small business owners get it done because that's what they do. That's their job. That's what they want to do. What you can do is you can teach them the value of their time. Women are worse at this than men are. Women will often value their time far less than men do. Teach them how valuable they are. Teach them how valuable their time is, and get away from those errors that are taking time and money to fix. So your best way to get them on board, once you have them understanding that you're the expert and they know how much their time is worth and they're ready to hand it off to you, they want you to choose the right tools. Find the best solutions that work for their business, because not every tool is right for every business. Choose the right tools. Once you've chosen the tools, you have to invest some time to learn the tools that you choose, because nothing is more frustrating than learning on the fly or trying to fix something when you don't know how to use it and there was a really simple way. Take the training that's offered. Look at what the resources are that are available. It's so important to learn the tools you choose, because your life will be better and you will be able to use your tools faster and simpler. And lastly, to wrap this whole portion up, you want to stay connected. Know what the legislative changes are. Talk to the companies that you use. Learn about upcoming webinars and continue to learn. Be a part of the value and the feedback, and you will always be on top of it, and you will always be that expert that your clients have come to expect. So when I say choose the right tools, well, you can be their most useful tool. 41% of small businesses said their top complaint with their accountant or bookkeeper was that they were more reactive than proactive. Be proactive. Teach them about the tools that they need, because once you do that, you are that trusted advisor and they talk to you before there's a problem and you fix it before there's an issue, and everybody is happy. Once everybody's happy, guess what? You can start scaling your clients' businesses. So adding value to what your clients are offering, your clients, will increase your own revenue. And when you use the right tools, you're increasing your own efficiency as well. 71% of small businesses that outsource accounting services are outsourcing for tax preparation only. This means that 29% are outsourcing for added services like payroll. Well, maybe the goal is to have the outsourcing for those value-added services be at 50%, because you can be that person year-round. And guess what? When your client is no longer spending time thinking about payroll and other value-added services that you could be providing, they can spend more time building their business, and that increases their revenue, which allows you to increase your revenue. So I know you're like, this is amazing. This is awesome. How can PaymentEvolution help me? Well, I am going to tell you. Hold on, I'm going to pause. Marilyn, I need you.
You're doing just fine, Andrea. I'm hoping that you're asking for the next poll question, but we can delay if it interrupts you at this point.
No, I am asking for the next poll question. It is the perfect time for it.
Awesome. So folks, this is the fourth question today about your biggest pain points. So those of you that are helping your clients with payroll, think about the top thing that really gets to you. Is it getting the employees' hours in on time? Maybe it's the calculations, additional earnings that crop up like bonuses. Maybe that you want to have a fear of the calculations being done accurately. And then there are some of you that are not currently running payroll for your clients. And that's fine, but we're hoping to give you some options to add revenue to your business today. So we're at 80% already. Thanks so much for those who replied. We're going to count down from 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. I'm closing the poll now. So we're sharing the results. 32% of folks on the line have struggled with getting the hours in on time. 16% is the next biggest pain point about calculations being done accurately. And then, of course, what do you do when there's an unexpected additional earning type like a bonus? Thanks, everyone, for your feedback. I'm going to return you back to Andrea.
Awesome. Thanks, Marilyn. I find it really interesting to see all the people who had the incorrect calculations on the bonuses and things like that. Well, that is something that a year-round solution like PaymentEvolution can definitely help with. This is what we specialize in. This is what we do. And if people are struggling with it, and there was a fair percentage of people that were struggling with it, so that was really useful information. Thank you, everybody, for answering. Let's talk more about how PaymentEvolution can help. So when I talk about choosing your tools wisely, I always say you should utilize a software that will help to scale your business, because that's what we're all talking about. We want our clients to be able to scale their businesses. And it's in essence, when they do that, it allows you to scale your business because they tell your friends about how amazing their accountant or bookkeeper is, and they come to you as well. And it allows you to hire more employees, which you will of course need payroll for. So PaymentEvolution is a great solution for time management. We are an easy to use tool. We provide accurate and efficient payroll. What that means is that we remove those errors. We allow you to be compliant with a very simple, easy to follow process. We also provide a lot of education, and this is why I really stress learning the tools that you use, because education is so important. We offer resources that teach you how to use the program. I'm going to talk about a little bit more about those later. We also offer a variety of things to help you stay connected and on board. And one of the most amazing things that we really pride ourselves in here is that we really value our accountant and bookkeeper feedback. You guys are the numbers people. You're the people we want to talk to. I love talking to accountants and bookkeepers because it really helps me understand your challenges without having to try and explain numbers to somebody. You guys already get the numbers, and allowing, I do most of the education portions, and allowing me to speak to somebody who already gets the numbers and have these amazing conversations is really fantastic. And your feedback drives how we build our product. And this is really important for any tool that you choose. Make sure that you have one that's listening, because it's so important. So how can you maximize that time and reduce your cost? Well, with PaymentEvolution, you can manage all of your clients from a single dashboard. You can log in, you can search for a company, you can manage them all from one place. There's a few quick action menus. You can go quickly to your reports or your settings or even in your employees. And this dashboard is something that is continually being evolved. And so this is where we welcome feedback from all of our clients on how we can make this better for you. But it's a single sign-on to access any one of your employees. So How does PaymentEvolution work? I know I said it's a super easy tool. Let me show you how simple it is. You can pay employees in 5 easy steps. So how you log into your client's account and you start your pay run. Next, you simply select the pay cycle. Is it weekly, biweekly, semi-monthly, monthly? You choose, and it'll bring up just those employees on that pay cycle. This is a great time saver for companies that have multiple pay cycles and they don't want to accidentally pay somebody that's not set to be paid. You approve the payroll, you enter hours, or just approve your salaried employees. You can add additional earnings if you need to, and you can preset your benefits and deductions so that they run automatically with no additional input from you. You can review it. We have a variety of options for reviewing, both on screen, individual employees, and PDF reports that you can download and print. And once you're done, you can finalize it. When you finalize it, if you've set up with direct deposit for us, we will debit your client's bank account and we will pay the employees directly into their bank account and on time. PaymentEvolution also offers remittance services, so we could pay and file those government remittances for you, ensuring that they're never on time. Never late. They're always on time. So once you've got those employees paid, they're certainly going to want to see their pay slip. Well, PaymentEvolution offers an amazing service with our tool called Paychecker. It's easy for employees to log in from any device. They can get on-demand pay slips and tax slips from any time that they have been employed with the company that they've been running payroll within PaymentEvolution. Employee Access also has the ability to assign employee roles. So you could effectively assign some tasks to your client's employee, something like a timekeeper who can just enter time for those time-based employees. And this allows you to have the employees take on some of the responsibility, and you go in and be the expert to manage it and approve it. And so you have all of this available directly to the employees via Paychecker. And it's their online tool. It's beautiful. It is easy to use. You've got download options, no more printing of pay slips. It really allows you to do what you need to do. So the last thing I want to talk about is tools to stay current and education. And I am so focused on education. I think it's so important. We do a large number of webinars. We do weekly training webinars. We do monthly in-depth webinars, and everything is recorded and available to anybody at any time. We offer payroll certification to all of our accountant and bookkeeper partners, and is a full in-depth training session. It's available to anybody who is using the accountant or bookkeeper plan. What it does is it takes you really in depth from your basic knowledge of your basic training on how to use the account to all the tips and tricks that you might not have known about that are there. And it is a super in-depth. We do give a continuing education credit for it, and we highly recommend that anybody who joins with our service uses this certification tool. We offer multiple payroll training options. We have both paid and free, and it just depends on what you need and what your clients need and how we can help you be that expert and how we can help you be better. We also have a large number of social media channels that are monitored by some of our staff here, and it allows you to talk to other accountants and bookkeepers. They're invitation only. You talk to other people who are using our service already and who have feedback or suggestions on how to run something, and you can ask questions, and it is a great network of people that are available to you. So use the education that's out there to learn and stay connected. All right, so I kept it brief because I know it's a long day today and it is a hot, muggy day outside. I know what you're all thinking. You're all still here. You all want to know, this sounds amazing. How do I get into it? Well, it's really simple. You contact us. You can call us at 647-776-7600, extension 1. Or you can email prohelp@paymentevolution.com. You can find us at paymentevolution.com. And I'm just going to touch on each of our services as a last point. So we offer payroll. We also offer business payments. We didn't really go into that because this really was a webinar about problems plaguing businesses with regards to payroll. But as a note to different services that we offer, we are connected with Xero, Cashew, and QuickBooks Online, and you can pay vendors directly into their bank accounts, just like you pay employees directly into their bank accounts. What the system does is it will pull open invoices from any of those mentioned accounting programs. It will list your open invoices. You select the ones that you want to pay. It pays them, and it will auto reconcile in real time back to the accounting software. So let's say your client logs in to their QBO and creates an invoice and then goes over to PaymentEvolution and pays it, and then you log into QBO as the accountant or bookkeeper. You already see that it's paid. There is no question about double payments or lost checks or anything like that. This is an amazing service, extremely, extremely affordable. PaymentEvolution offers Paychecker, which I already mentioned. And the last thing is benefits. So one of the unique features about us is we have the ability to offer your clients, small and medium-sized businesses, with benefits that could allow them to compete with some of those bigger businesses. Bigger businesses often will attract and retain better employees because they can offer benefits, and a lot of small and medium-sized businesses think that this is not available to them. Well, it is. We have an amazing benefits team, and if you want to learn more, just give us a call. Feel free to use extension 1 as well, and we'll get you in touch with the right person. So that's it for me today. Thank you so much to everyone for being here, and thank you, Alan and Marilyn, for having us. And please be in touch with us if you have any questions.
Thanks, Andrea. That was great information, and my memorable takeaway will be the way to correct a mistake is not to make it in the first place. So thanks for that.
Well, thanks, Andrea. That was very interesting, and I learned something. So we're just about to a wrap. Let me remind you again that 10 days from today, you're going to get the recording, my teaching notes, my teaching files, all of the answers to the questions, and your CPD certificate. And as Marilyn told you, if you answered 3 of the 4 polling questions, it'll be 1 hour verifiable. If you didn't, it'll be non-verifiable. Now, as I told you, when you exit, you're going to get the usual survey. But I've added a question at the end that is extremely important to both Marilyn and myself. Would you believe I'm already starting to plan the 2019 schedule for the mini webinars? And I've given you an open-ended question where you can tell us what you'd like to see in the webinars next year, or any comments you have about the webinars this year. So folks, thanks very much. It's a wrap.